Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Debt Collection 101 here on Our Bite You. We have our very elusive and special guest joining us today. So this is gonna be a great episode. We're talking about something that's super relevant to everybody, and it's improving productivity without hiring. It's obviously hard to hire today, so we're gonna go into that. And yeah, we have Sam Galbo joining us with Advanced Capital Solutions. So thanks so much, Sammy, for joining
Happy
us.
to be here.
Yeah. And yeah, if you could, I guess, just dive into, for anybody that's seeing this that doesn't know, who you guys are or about your agency at all, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your agency?
Sure. I've been in the collection industry for about 15 years now, a little bit over that. I obviously started working for an agency, NCO Financial, and we started on our own, I believe, in 2011. And Advanced Capital has been a company in existence since 2012. We've always kind of prided ourselves on our adoption of new technology. So we've been, pretty much on the forefront of trying new things and not being scared to, give things that other agencies might not give a chance.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks for the overview for everybody.
Yeah. So since this episode is about hiring and improving productivity, it's no secret that it is really hard to hire right now. And this is not just in the accounts receivables industry, it's across all industries. How have you been impacted by this?
It's been terrible. We haven't been able to even get most of the time people to show up to interviews, let alone be able to hire them. And even when they do show up to interviews, they have some very high standards that might not be justified. We always have paid for talent and paid for experience, but when you have people with zero work experience, not only collection experience, coming in and demanding $20 an hour, it makes it very hard to find people. And we've actually been pretty much remote for the last year or so, at least in our Buffalo office. Our Ohio office has stayed open the whole time, and we've been more successful down there. I think it really comes down, at least for us, is in New York, because of the minimum wage being so high, it's hard to hire people for even $15, $16 an hour because you're only a couple dollars more than minimum wage, where in Ohio, the minimum wage is like $8.25 or $8.35 or something. So when you offer somebody $15 or $16 an hour to start, it's almost double minimum wage. So it seems like it's a much better job to somebody in Ohio, but there's not a lot of experience down in Ohio. So when we hire people down there, it's a lot of training to get them up to speed and to get them collecting money with the rest of the office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, a huge part of collections is like commission, right? So it's, when you have that high minimum wage plus you have a high commission, it's probably very hard to sustain.
And that's the problem, is because they're starting at a higher wage, we have to make the goals a little higher for them to start. And even if they are good, or are improving every single month, before, when it might have taken them 2-3 months to start hitting goal and start getting a bonus check, now it's taking 6 to 7 months because they're starting at a much higher hourly and a much higher goal than we were able to start people previously. I mean, I'm sure you guys all remember when the standard starting wage for a collector was $10-12 an hour, and it's just not like that anymore. So it makes it very hard mentally on the new hire too, because they feel like they're failing for 6 months before they even get a bonus check, and a lot of them leave before they get to the point where they realize those extra funds, just because they think they're not doing well, even though they really are progressing each month.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you see, like, because of how long it takes to get there, if you see that like with turnover, but you just answered that. So
yeah, we've lost a couple people that we thought were going to be pretty good, just because they agreed to the $15 an hour, wanting more when they came in, and we just weren't able to advance them, and they weren't getting bonus checks quick enough that they decided to try something else.
yeah.
And then you just waste all the time that be put into training them and getting them up to speed over the course of the 4 or 5 months they stay with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So obviously, like, hiring's hard, turnover's real, it's happening, and you're still, but you still have expectations you have to meet, right? Your clients still expect you to do this. You still have metrics you have to hit. You still want to grow. So, but you got to do it with less people, basically, is what's happening. So what are how are you doing that internally? How are you managing that? Yeah.
Well, as we were preparing for the Reg F stuff, we really got into using alternative forms of communication to try and reach potential debtors to pay their debt. We've been using texting, and we've also been using email campaigns in order to try and reach more people in different ways. And we found that the email campaigns, coupled with the online chat that we have on our website, has been working really good. And along with the email campaigns, we've also been using an online portal that the debtors can log into, and they can see their full account information. They can, input payments in there. They can remove payments. They can change payments. So they basically have ownership of their account with us, and they can do everything without having to speak to anybody. And that's really been starting to produce some pretty good results over the last few months, especially since it's been so much harder to get in touch with people. I think even on our phone calls, we were averaging, I want to say before 2022 or 2021, we were averaging between a 5 and 6% contact rate and a 20 to 25% close rate on that. And now I think we're right around like between 2 and 2.5% contact rate. And we're hovering around 20% conversion. So the conversion is still there. It's just, we're talking to half as many people as we used to. So we had to start employing some other types of communication in order to get those people that don't want to call us or don't want to talk on the phone, but do want to pay their debt. And we've definitely seen it successful. And when we first started doing texting, we took all the good numbers that we've called 10, 11, 12, 13 times with no response from the debtor. And with one text message, they were calling in and setting up arrangements or doing even full settlement on their account. And obviously, first text message is going to go really well, but if you're consistently texting them, you don't see that quite as big of impact every single time you run a campaign. But with the emails and the text, it's been a lot easier to get a hold of more people and get some payments in without actually having to talk to them.
Yeah. Have you, I'm curious, have you found that with these alternate communication methods that the consumers have, just enjoyed that type of experience better at all? Or like, has it been easier on them at all?
Well, I mean, we don't really talk to them too much, so I don't know how their experience is. I think they're getting the experience that they want because they're setting up payments and setting up settlement through the portal and communicating through the texting. But I'm not really sure how they feel the experiences on their end. As far as the software goes, and what we've been doing in the software, as you guys know, we developed our own software that we use internally, and a bunch of other agencies have started to use now. So we've taken some of these other services that we've signed up for, like the emailing and the portal, and we've integrated them with the software so that it's not just uploading a whole bunch of accounts to send emails on and then not really being able to use the statistics that you get back, or whether they opened it or whether they clicked on the links or anything like that. We can actually pull those back into our software and take previous campaigns that we ran using, say the first email template that we have, and extract, the ones that open the emails out of it and send them a different email. So the system has now allowed us to kind of strategize with the emails that we're sending out and make sure that we're not over emailing people too, because it keeps track of each individual campaign in the software. And same thing with the texting and stuff like that. We've been able to implement some APIs so that we can just push buttons to send certain things out, and eliminate some time that people normally took communicating with people.
Mhm. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it sounds like integrating your technology with your software is the best way to do things because everything is kind of talking to each other. So you have everything that you've done right in your software, and your employees can just go in there and use that
Right.
directly.
Plus you don't, I mean, in this time, you don't really want a bunch of admin people that, are just helping to run those things, even though they are producing money. If you can do them efficiently without having to add extra staff to manage them, that's the best case scenario. If you have to add an additional person to manage the emails, then it's just like hiring somebody that you have to train in order to get them up to speed. Where if we can just manage it ourselves and keep it to the managers and the admin staff that we already have by integrating with the software, it just makes everything more streamlined, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed with these, well, like again with texting and emailing, have you seen can the collectors work more accounts with these alternate methods?
They're still kind of working the same amount of accounts. The main collection staff, at least with us, is still utilizing the click stuff and the broadcast dialers and stuff like that. And they do obviously take inbound phone calls that are generated off of the text messaging and emails, but most of the time they're on the click products and just staying on there for the majority of their day so that we can try and get as many calls out of them as possible. I remember back when I worked for NCO, their goal, even with a predictive dialer, was that every day we did 150 phone calls, which, you look at now and we have collectors because of click, doing 6, 7, 8, 900 calls a day. It just seems kind of laughable that was their standard on, even utilizing a predictive dialer. Because you would think that you'd be making just as many phone calls with the predictive dialer, but I don't know, looking back, it seems like it might not have been running right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that covers everything that we had to go over today. So I appreciate, Sammy, you coming on, talking about the technologies you guys are using and some of the strategies that you are running to keep everybody productive during these challenging times, as everybody
It's
says.
probably been the most challenging time that I've lived through in collections. We lived through Operation Choke Point and all of those different government programs that they were doing, where we lost merchant accounts and we lost bank accounts for no other reason other than just the government putting pressure on the financial system to do something about collection agencies and gun owners and stuff, or gun ammunition makers and stuff like that. But this is a whole different ballgame, because at least then you can hire people to continue to make phone calls, where now it's like you have to look for something other than a physical person in order to increase your collections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not like before this that everything was like just booming, right? Like it was getting harder to reach consumers already, plus on top of that, now you can't hire it. So it's just, now you're getting pressure from two sides. It's interesting to see.
Like, I'm a perfect example. If you call me and I don't have your number in my phone, there is a 99% chance that phone call is never getting answered. And I don't listen to voicemails either. So if you're not texting me to let me know who you are, I'm probably never going to get in touch with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I agree.
This episode proved, though, that there is ways to stay productive while not having to hire. So it's good.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks again, Sammy, for coming and hosting. Thanks, Ash, for helping me with this. And everybody that's watching, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.